AdvancedLifeClinic.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case.
And we'll take care of it.
The Lackey Law Firm. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
It's time for them to learn the truth.
Goosebumps, rated TV 14LV. New series now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Oh my God, we're murder Nepo babies.
An ABC college football tripleheader. First at noon Eastern.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
And away we go here, live from Woody Anderson Ford on a Wednesday, teleconference Wednesday, as I spent most of my mid-morning and afternoon on the teleconference, talking to as many SEC coaches as I can, including Eli Drinkowitz, who, and in case you did not hear him on the Feinbaum program, was prepping for a haircut. Yes, yeah, you said that several times, so much so I did ask him a haircut question. Anyway, and not that I've got any hair to cut at the moment. Coming up on the program today, we will talk to Matt Wyatt from Bulldog Radio Network as Mississippi State travels over to Auburn to get the Hail State perspective, as we talked to Charlie Trotman yesterday for the Auburn side. And speaking of the Auburn Tigers, had an opportunity to talk to Hugh Freeze. Here is that conversation from earlier today with the Auburn head coach.
Wanted to ask about Cadillac and really what he brings to your coaching staff. And the reason I'm going there is because this was his first game last year, and kind of that energy that he fueled last season. So what does Cadillac bring to your coaching room, Coach?
Well, he's somebody I lean on to get the pulse of the team for sure. He's got great relationships with the team and brings great energy to practice and to the games and to the building. And obviously he has the ear of the players because he's walked in their shoes at this place and done it at a high level. And I think he's got great insight from time to time also that we might need to try to, as we try to right the ship and continue to build this program. So he's very valuable.
Well, there's no doubt how well your defense has been playing. Is Eugene Asante, number 9, as big of a leader off the field as he is on the field for you, Coach?
That's on the field, there's no question. Off the field, he's actually a bit more reserved. But he's on our culture council, and he was elected to that, so certainly they see him as a leader both on and off.
There is no question he is the leader on the field, to say the very least, about that linebacker there for the Auburn Tigers. It is somebody that has caught the attention of the Mississippi State head coach as well, but I steered Zach Arnett a little bit more towards what Auburn is doing from the coordinator position first.
Wanted to ask about Ron Roberts. You've already referenced a little bit of the attacking nature defensively, what you see out of Auburn defensively, but specifically to Coach Roberts, what do you see that he kind of adds to that defense, Coach?
Well, I just think he's seen it all before in his career, right? I mean, and he knows all the answers. He knows what to get to within his scheme. And it's an incredibly sound scheme. There's no easy free plays against him. and what they do defensively. And then when you combine that with talented players and you get them playing as hard and as fast as they are, you got a recipe for a really good defense. And that's what I see on film when I watch them play. So I enjoy watching them. I've enjoyed watching their film because that they get 11 guys out there who look like they enjoy being physical and flying around to the football. And as a defensive coach, you always appreciate that.
Wow, what is your evaluation of your defense that you've seen out of your squad this year, Coach?
And we need to make sure we show up ready to play with the same enthusiasm and intensity. Obviously, I think we that showed up better on a more consistent basis last week in our victory to win a 7-3 ball game on the road. That was a heck of a performance by them, but we're facing an incredibly athletic and talented and physical opponent this week, and we need to make sure we put in the work and control what we can control. And that's how we prepare and how we show up every day to practice so that we give ourselves the best chance to show up and execute accordingly.
That is Zach Arnett, the Mississippi State head coach. As Auburn still remains the favorite, Wes.
I think Auburn should be the favorite, playing at home. I just think Auburn has although they've been a box of chocolates on offense,
yeah,
their defense is good enough, I think, to stop Mississippi State, and their offense will make enough plays to win this game. So I think Auburn needs something good to happen.
Something positive.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they've really only played, in my opinion, one bad game. Now, they haven't looked good on offense most games.
From the word go.
Yeah, inconsistent, to say the least. But, I think if they had better receivers, and as we heard yesterday, the deal is, it's just not the quarterbacks. They haven't had time to throw at times. The receivers have dropped balls at times. I mean, they have trouble getting separation in enough time. So it's a combination of things. I played on a bad team in Alabama where we had similar things. And at the end of the year, I tell you what, we every game we were ahead at halftime but one. Every game we were ahead at halftime but one.
Need those finishers.
You couldn't make it. It was always we played Vanderbilt, lost to Vanderbilt, where if you go back and look at every play, it was one person to keep us from winning the game on every play.
Different person, I would imagine.
Different person, different here. Heck, the free safety tackled our best running back one-on-one 3 times in that game. You got to make one guy miss, right? If he makes him miss, those are 3 touchdowns. You see what I'm saying? Even if he misses once, you'd have won the game. It's little things like that. When you're on a team that's struggling, that if that flips and all of a sudden they get it, they can start winning. And I think that's this against these teams. That's what Auburn's going to have to do. But you can't play down to this team's level. And if you do that, that's when you have trouble. That's when you have a chance of getting beat.
Did not have an opportunity to talk to Nick Saban today, but I did have an opportunity to talk to Brian Kelly. And I went there, and he answered my questions.
Wanted to ask about Alabama, maybe an early thought of what you see out of the Crimson Tide, Coach.
Well, look, very well coached. That's obvious. Talented defensively. I think they've recruited very well defensively. Length at the outside linebacker position, big and physical inside. Really like McKinstry, the corner. The safeties are athletic, can cover man-to-man. Really love the personnel on defense. Offensively, big offensive linemen. The skill positions are underrated. I think they're all guys that can make big plays. And the quarterback has developed over the past 4 weeks to be a dual threat quarterback that can run it and is very underrated in terms of what he's been able to do the last few weeks in terms of throwing the football. He's made big plays. So an emerging offense, one that has skilled players on the perimeter, and then I think a really athletic defense. That structure is very sound.
How big was that win last year for your program, year one, that overtime victory over Bama, you think, Coach?
Seems like an ancient memory. I mean, it's what you've done lately. I mean, it helps build your recruiting. It helps build the momentum in your program. We've got some work to do, clearly still in recruiting, but it helped in the recruiting process. But those are definitely steps in the right direction. But as I said, for us to get into the ranks of Georgia and Alabama, you got to be able to do this thing consistently. So for us, it's about consistent performance, and we haven't been as consistent yet. That's what we'll be looking to model after the Georgias and the Alabamas is consistency in performance.
Happy birthday to Brian Kelly. You want to put a number on that? How old do you think Brian Kelly is?
Oh, I would say 52, 53.
See, I would have gone younger too. He's 62.
Oh wow. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I didn't see that.
No, me neither.
I'm bad at age stuff, though. The older you get, the worse at it you get, too. So, used to be in my 30s, I could pin everybody. Now I can't pin anybody.
Anyway, coming up on the program today, Matt Wyatt going to join us later on here in this first hour. Talk a little Mississippi State football as they travel to the Plains this weekend. Also, coming up this weekend, it is a bye week, after all, for the Crimson Tide. So we've got a couple of games front and center for you right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Our first matchup will feature the Army Black Knights, and you'll hear more of a preview for Army later on tonight with Crawdad's countdown to kickoff, as Army is getting ready to take on UMass. Pregame for that will start at 10:30, and that will roll right into kickoff. And then at 2 o'clock, Westwood One will take over our airwaves. It is the world's largest cocktail party. Georgia and Florida is going to be featured over our airwaves this weekend. And the man who will be on the broadcast for the color commentary, Ryan Leaf, he is going to join us in hour number 2 to talk a little Georgia, Florida. And we may sneak in a little Jalen Tua talk and figure out what's going on in the National Football League from his perspective as well. So a lot to get into here over the next couple of hours, but it is teleconference Wednesday. And what else stood out to me today? You probably want to hear from Lane Kiffin, West Neighbors.
I do.
as you normally want to, because I did ask about the secondary and how they're going to be challenged this weekend by the Vanderbilt wide receivers. And that's real, at least in my opinion. And here is what Coach Lane Kiffin, a.k.a. the Easter Bunny, had to say.
Where do you feel like your team is getting better here over the last month of the season, Coach?
Defensively. Now, I'm realistic, too, about who you play and, what the strengths of those teams are the last couple weeks. So we still got a lot to work on, but we obviously have improved.
How about specifically the secondary? How much of a challenge are they going to be tested, you think, on Saturday with Vanderbilt's wide receivers?
A lot. I think these guys have done a really good job. I think both quarterbacks have played well. They're very arm talented. And, I think that, we're going to have to play really well. And this is much more passing challenge with these guys than last week.
I heard you mention a little bit of avoiding that Vanderbilt swoon. What does that look like practice-wise? How's the team looked this week in practice?
Really good. We're actually healthier this week than we were last week after the bye, surprisingly. So it's been great.
And defensively, what do you see out of Vanderbilt and Clark Lee's squad, Coach?
Really well coached, very disciplined. They play extremely hard. And like I said, we were down at half last year, I believe. And, the couple years before we got here, I think back-to-back years, Vanderbilt beat Ole Miss.
That would be during the James Franklin era that he is referencing.
They must have not been ranked at that time.
Probably not. But did you hear the little subtle dig at Auburn in there? Vanderbilt a better passing team?
Well, there's no question. I mean, that didn't make...
I know. That's not really going to make...
news.
No. Twitter did not melt down.
It doesn't make him any better anyway.
Anyway, that is what Lane Kiffin had to say earlier today on the teleconference. Let's move over to Billy Napier as his Gators getting ready to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. And if you go by ESPN's QBR, I know you like to look at the QBR rankings, Wes, and right now, Carson Beck is top 3 quarterback.
Well, he's played that way since the Auburn fourth quarter. I mean, he's played a lot better. But let's not kid ourselves. Who have they played? What good defense has Georgia played? I mean, Auburn's pretty good. But what top? They haven't played anybody, Steve. Will you go back and look?
I looked at Sarrigan's rankings yesterday.
Yeah, I think
top 30 teams.
I think Georgia's they got a run where they're going to play 3 teams that are capable of winning, maybe 4 that are capable of winning if Georgia plays bad.
Daniels is 1, Dart is 2, Beck is 3.
Yeah, and possibly Florida. But a lot of things would have to happen. But Florida has some players now, not many offensive players.
Yeah.
They haven't played anybody with any offensive players so far, really. I mean, think about it. Who have they played that has anybody that's going to be in the NFL? I don't know.
In the NFL?
Yeah, quarterbacks.
Oh, quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, 0. They're not even the top 10 in their league.
I was thinking of the UAB quarterback, but I mean, who knows? But I mean,
no, it's really sad. That's the only way I'd put it. They're non-conference. Well, I mean, to me,
UT Martin, Ball State, UAB. And Georgia Tech.
Yeah. I mean, so to me, to beat Georgia, to beat any elite team, you got to have an elite quarterback. And they will not face one. I don't even think they'll face one in Florida. But
is Missouri's quarterback? Is Cook an elite? Is that an NFL quarterback?
I don't know. I hadn't watched him enough play, to be honest with you. I know they have NFL players
Jackson
on their
Dart.
team.
You've seen plenty of Jackson Dart. Is he an NFL quarterback?
No, I don't think so. Do you think so? I don't think so.
I really don't know.
No, he might be a backup.
I know what the answer is about Joe Milton right now.
Yeah, but at least they have people that go in the NFL. I'm not
Haynes
sure
King is the quarterback at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I've seen him play before. No, I just think that they're going to play some better teams than they have been playing. So we'll see. And without their best player. Does Auburn beat Georgia if the tight end doesn't play? I don't know. I think it was a better possibility than with him playing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They were right there in the fourth quarter at home when the Brock Bowers drive began and ended with number 19. And I don't know about you, but so we had surgery on a week ago Monday. That would have been the 16th. I'm really not seeing an opportunity for Brock Bowers to be back until Ole Miss, November 11th, maybe, or the Tennessee game.
How many weeks will the Ole Miss game be?
That is October 16th through November the 11th. But keep in mind, that's game day, November the 11th.
Yeah, I don't.
November 18th. That's
I just don't think
at Tennessee.
I just don't think it tied in.
I'm with
you.
you.
Will not be 100%.
Iffy.
Yeah. So will he be the same player?
Maybe the SEC championship game. Maybe if they make it.
I think he needs 6 weeks. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And then should he play?
I'm
just kidding.
Here we go.
I'm just kidding.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
I think he should play. People are going to be saying that, right?
Yeah. So we're live here at Woody Anderson Ford. I stuck my head back in the service department, and that thing is buzzing back there. But I'm telling you, it's the place to be here. Even if you don't own a Ford, you can still get your vehicles serviced here at Woody Anderson Ford. An excellent website at woodyAndersonFord.com where you can schedule it, or you can also browse through the new or used vehicles. Holiday season is right around the corner. If you're in the market for a big birthday or a big Christmas present here at Woody Anderson Ford, but certainly the specials as well. You can click on. It's a very user-friendly website at woodyAndersonFord.com. It's always great to be here on campus. Let's go ahead and take our first time out. We'll hear from Billy Napier on the other side as we're live from Woody Anderson Ford.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's hunting and tailgate season and time to get serious about an F-150. We've got nearly 140 to choose from, and without a doubt, one of the best F-150 values on the road today is our STX package. You get 290 hard-working horses mated to a 10-speed transmission that'll take you everywhere, from that tree stand to downtown Tuscaloosa. Body-colored bumpers, halogen headlamps, 20-inch machined aluminum wheels, and lots of tech, like a rear-view camera with dynamic hitch assist, which you boaters and RVers will love. A 2023 Woody Anderson Ford F-150 STX packs a punch, but it doesn't cost you a bunch. You can drive one for $474 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $51.66 due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. Offer ends October 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. Come test drive an F-150 STX today. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
Just ask anyone. The Liosi Group.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyandersonford.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another
Back here with you on The Drive, live here from Woody Anderson Ford. The cocktail party about to commence this weekend down in Jacksonville. Had an opportunity to talk to Florida Gator head football coach Billy Napier. Here is that conversation.
I wanted to ask about Carson Beck. What do you see out of the Georgia quarterback, Coach?
Yeah, I see a talented athlete and passer. I think he's obviously been there a number of years. He's got really comfortable in their system. I think he's got arm talent. He's very accurate, and certainly, he's done a nice job making some plays with his feet, so, and he gets better every week. I think as he gains more experience and gets comfortable, you can see his confidence grows, but he's got a really good group of players around him. They're really big, tall, long up front. Really good group of skill players in every room. So, he's played well, and you can see why he was one of the better quarterbacks in the country coming out.
And at least Kirby's reputation, especially on the defensive side of the football, Coach, is getting plays checked to his strengths. So what is a key or two for a coach to get your guys in the right place and the right check at the right time, Coach?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I think the game ultimately, the players, obviously the caliber of player, the height, length, the speed, I think this is a group that has confidence and is very comfortable in their system. They communicate at a high level, and they're able to do that because of that. I think the continuity in the system and the number of reps that they've accumulated in their career, allows them to be multiple. And I think ultimately there always is a little bit of a chess match going on in terms of trying to, who's got the pin last. I think the key is that we do our part to position our players to have success. You don't like plays as a coach where maybe you don't have an answer for the players, right? So both of us, we're well versed. We know the issues, and obviously I have a ton of respect for Coach Schumann and Coach Smart.
How's the week of practice gone for you, Coach?
No, I thought Monday, coming off of a couple of days off, we were a little sluggish early, and then I thought we got better as the practice went, and I thought we were much improved yesterday. So, there had really been a couple of days there without football. It's natural for that to happen. I'm probably but I do think overall the kids are excited. There's good energy. There's focus. But we finished the right way yesterday, and then certainly today will be a really important practice.
What is that next level, that next step you'd like to see your team take on Saturday, Coach?
I think just steadily improving. You know, I mean, I think we've got. I'd like to see us put more of it together. You know, I think parts of our team have played at a really high level at different points throughout the year. You know, and I think ultimately for us to continue to grow as a team and as a program, you know, we need consistency across the board, right? We can't have one position group playing at an elite level and then this one drops off. You know, so individual players playing their best, position groups playing their best, the units complementing each other, you know, and ultimately for our team to play at a really high level, we have to play well in all three parts of our team. So, you know, just improvement, right, and consistency. I think that's the key for us.
During the off season, Coach, when you're talking to supporters of the program, how big is this game in the off season? How much is the Florida-Georgia game talked about from people that you interact with, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're the head coach at the University of Florida, I mean, there's a lot of games that are important, you know, and certainly some more than others to people that have a history here, right? And I think ultimately this game, there's a long list at Florida, right? We've got a history with a lot of teams, but this one with the states bordering each other, obviously the history and tradition behind the game, our fan bases have to live with each other to some degree, certain parts of each state, and it's what makes college football fun.
That is Billy Napier from earlier today in the SEC teleconference. I know that was a rather lengthy conversation, but when you're only one of two people asking them questions, that's what happens.
That's good, though. Good conversation. Going to take Georgia playing bad to help Florida. It's the only way they can win. They need help, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. LSU Lynch is first up on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. How are you, LSU Lynch?
Todd, how are y'all? It's a pretty day outside.
It really is.
It really – look here, I'm still getting the text message from these Tennessee fans. Apparently, you know, the head ref was a real estate agent down there in Tuscaloosa, okay? And turn the game around. Turn the game around for Alabama.
Was he? Let me ask you: was he supposed to be covering Isaiah Bond?
Exactly.
The ref supposed to be covering him? He might have been the closest person to Isaiah Bond. I didn't see anybody else near him.
Look here, I'm gonna do two more things because I'm sure y'all got some other. I'm gonna tell you what. I got depressed today, being the LSU fan. You know, we done lost Alexander and Wingo. I don't think that they're gonna get to play against Alabama. And then we've got a couple of other cornerbacks. You know, we're gonna be hurting. And like I said, I think it's going to be a shootout game. I think the second half, this Alabama LSU game, is going to be real exciting. You hear me?
So what position does Wingo play?
He's the defensive back.
Oh, both those guys are defensive backs?
Alexander's the cornerback. Wingo's the defensive back.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if they don't play in this game. They might not be 100%. But I know what they're saying, but.
But, I mean, look here, Wes. You don't want to see the kids go down.
Well, I agree.
You want everybody healthy. You want everybody healthy.
I agree with you totally. Yeah, I don't want anybody to be hurt.
But look here, my third thing, Wes and Lord Moulton, why the hell is UNA playing Florida Suck University this year? And
why do you think?
For the money?
Why do you think?
How much they get paid, Wes?
About $1 million, $3 million.
Yeah, probably $1 million at least.
Yeah, without playing these guys, Yeah, they can't afford football. They can't afford the team. They have it costs about $1.5 million to run an athletic program, minimum, a year. And so that they.
Well, look here. I heard Wolverine Dan then got connected to the Spygate over there. Have y'all heard that yet? It's on Twitter. It's on Twitter, man.
Well, it's got to be official then.
Yeah. I'd be very shocked if he wasn't in the middle of it, to be honest with you.
Hey, man, thank you for taking my phone call. We'll holler at y'all tomorrow. Y'all keep going, brother.
Yeah. So, but Wolverine Dan, he fired the head coach a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, a long time
ago. Khaki pants.
So, yeah.
Went over a little bit of the total QBR just in the SEC. Jaden Daniels is 1.
No surprise there.
Jackson Dart 2. Carson Beck 3. Then it's Brady Cook, the Missouri quarterback, followed by Jalen Milroe. He's a top 5 SEC quarterback.
He's playing awesome. I don't,
Spencer Rattler's right behind him. Then Graham Mertz. Joe Milton the third is not third.
Joe Milton's it's consistency. I mean, he made some heck of a plays the first half in that game. From the first touchdown pass, how can you throw it any better? There's only one person that could catch it, and he did a heck of a job catching it. And then the pass on third down at the goal line, I mean, he threw the ball before the guy broke. I mean, he had to. He was going to get hit. Perfect pass. He made some really good plays, did really good decisions. The crowd got to Tennessee. They folded like a pup tent. There's no doubt about that. They folded like a pup tent. They weren't the same after Alabama scored in 2 plays.
29 yards, then the touchdown pass.
Yeah, that was the ref, though, that caused that.
Of course. Pick play.
Yeah, pick play. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Let's go ahead and take our final timeout here in this first hour. Matt Wyatt is set to join us on the other side, talk a little Mississippi State Bulldog football with the former Bulldog QB himself.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Did you know that Valley Equipment Rental also specializes in day and weekend rentals to homeowners? The weekend rentals is by far the best deal that they offer. If you pick up after 2 on a Friday or anytime Saturday morning, it's not due in until Monday morning before 8 a.m. for a one-day charge. For a small fee, Valley can even haul anything they carry. Valley has extremely experienced and knowledgeable staff that can help you decide what size machine you need or what type of machine you need to get your job done like a pro. They have all the big items that the contractors need for their jobs, but they also carry the small tools that can help you with your DIY project. More importantly, Valley is locally owned and operated, which means when you have an issue, you can get someone on it right away, right here in the Valley. Heck, ask for Ross Roberts, the owner, if you like. Try calling one of the big box national outlets and ask for the owner. That's if you can even get through the automation. Buy local. Buy Valley Equipment Rental. Valley Equipment Rental has 2 locations, one on the North and South Parkway. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Your roof is the first line of defense for your home. Do you have water stains on your ceiling, paint peeling off your walls, shingles missing? It's probably time for you to get your free roof inspection. Locally owned and operated, licensed, and insured, Yellowhammer Roofing is the Yellowhammer State hometown team. Yellowhammer Roofing. Let our family protect what's most important to you, your family. 256-232-1933 or online at yellowhammerroofing.com.
Injuries at work happen all the time in Alabama. So do motor vehicle and slip and fall accidents. If you're hurt at work or injured in an accident, I want you to call my good friends at Pond Lehocky Giordano. That's Pond Lehocky, Alabama's injury law firm. They got your back just like they've got mine. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
The representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 70s. Some of us should make it into the lower 80s, well above where we should be this time of year. We should only be climbing into the lower 70s. We're dropping into the upper 50s, lower 60s through the overnight and early Thursday morning. A little more cloud cover through Thursday afternoon. A partly sunny sky. Still temperatures climbing into the upper 70s and lower 80s, dropping into the low 60s through the overnight. A mostly cloudy sky for your Friday. Temperatures hanging out in the low 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Join us every week for Alabama football right here.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Back here at Woody Anderson Ford. No Coach Saban press conference tonight, as it is a bye week for the Crimson Tide, but we've got plenty to break down. Had the Auburn perspective yesterday from Charlie Trotman, and who better to talk to than Matt Wyatt, the former Bulldog quarterback, now part of the, of course, mainstay there, part of the Mississippi State Bulldog Radio Network. How many years have you been doing that, Matt?
Yeah, I think this is my 15th year overall, maybe 13th year doing color. So it goes back to 2009 for me as far as jumping into the radio business with State. And prior to that, it sounds like a joke, but it's really not. Prior to that, I did some color work on TV, and then my hair fell out, so I started doing radio. It's like the literal. That's like the literal truth.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's nice to have some company in the Bald Club, so it's always great to talk to you, Matt, and we always get so much out of our conversations that we have with you. I cannot help but want to start with the Arkansas game. That was a tough watch for me. I can't imagine calling that game.
Yeah, it was not an offensive masterpiece, like whatever the opposite of an offensive masterpiece is what it would be. My dad, he lives down in Dothan, Alabama, and he texted me. This was like the third quarter. He was at home watching it, and he texted me. He said, "This is like watching two drunks fight." Okay, so that was his, that was his analysis. And then the next day, we went to church. I got back home. We go to church the next day, and somebody walked up and said, "Hey, Matt, did you see Arkansas already fired its offensive coordinator from yesterday?" I said, "I didn't see that." So I told my wife, and I said, "Hey, somebody told me they fired Arkansas's offensive coordinator." Her response was, "Well, I think if a game ends 7-3, they ought to have to fire somebody off both teams." That was her analysis. See, so I've heard everything you could hear about that game. But the reality is, and I will say this, Arkansas was awful offensively, but paired with that, State's defense played its best ball game of the year. They were more physical for the full 4 quarters. They were coming off an open date, so they were really flying around and looked a little more healthy. They did have some pieces of their depth back, so their rotation was a little more full on defensive front. And, so they just, to me, and they were anticipating things in the secondary, breaking on balls instead of waiting to see it caught. I thought they played a good game defensively, better than, they really have at any point this year. And you couple that with Arkansas was just terrible offensively, well, that's what you get. They get a field goal off a short field, and that's all they got all day. So, offensively is a different story. A little bit of a built-in excuse for State because they were without Will Rogers. But, reality is they'll have to be much better offensively to get more SEC wins.
Trying to get info out of your coach, by the way, is fantastic. Just because of the shell game that he's playing with all the reporters, including me, and I've just stopped asking him for like I assume you get a little more information than us common media folk.
Well, not really, just to be
totally really?
And honestly, I think that's one thing about Zach, okay? He's a first-year head coach. But when it comes to sort of playing the game around the game as a head coach, whether it be dealing with media or answering questions, or it's like last week, okay? You got 2 weeks to get ready for Arkansas, and Will Rogers got banged up at the end of the previous game. Well, if you can keep that close to your vest, you just do. That's kind of the old school way of doing it. This is not the NFL where they make you disclose injuries. If I'm a coach and I can kind of keep that under wraps and let them wonder for 2 weeks who's going to play, I'm going to do it, and he handles those things kind of in a way that I actually would expect him to. He does a pretty good job with it.
I would agree. Talking to Matt Wyatt right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. So it feels like, is there a possibility Will could play this weekend?
I think, there probably is a possibility, but how much of one, I just don't know. What we heard from Zach on Monday is the truth. He says, okay, look, when he is able to play, he will play. It's not a question of we're going to ease him back in or, maybe the other guy continues to play. No, when Will gets healthy, he's going to play. But I genuinely believe it's one of those, day-to-day, week-to-week type injuries where they show up and they go, okay, how is it today? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you get hit? And the whole, kind of like the movie The Gladiator with the guy holding his thumb out. You either get a thumbs up or a thumbs down on that particular day. And the thing about getting ready for a game is kind of for the benefit of the team and everybody else, you kind of have to make a call on it, I think, earlier in the week, right? Because you got to prepare. You got to get game plan in and work all that stuff out. So, I think, there's a possibility. I do think there's a great possibility that we do get him back at some point this year. Whether or not it's this week, I think we're just going to have to show up Saturday to see.
On the subject of hard games to watch, right behind Mississippi State, Arkansas, I'll put Auburn, Ole Miss right behind that. That was another hard watch, but it feels like Auburn has to ugly up these games to keep themselves in it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and full disclosure, just by nature of my job, I've not been able to see every Auburn game or every snap of all their games, but I've seen some. I watched a good bit of the Texas A&M game and some others snaps here and there, and it's like you look at them and you go, how is it that an SEC team gets itself in that position, just not really being able to throw the ball? But we know they've gone through all that transition and quarterbacks and all this kind of stuff, but it's so hard to go up and down the field when you really only do one thing well. It is just so hard to do. It's really hard as a play caller, too, when one facet of your game is so inconsistent, and that's just kind of where they are. And it's like you'll see some teams like that from time to time. They'll have a game that's an outlier where they hit some big plays and it looks great, but the consistency factor is where they're going where they are struggling, and they're going to continue to struggle. When you run up on these SEC defenses, man, if you're one-dimensional, they'll take that one away quick. And it's just hard to come up with those 4 touchdowns it's going to take to win some of these games. You know, and that's a little bit like State, honestly, because even with Will Rogers earlier this year offensively, State was at times kind of a mess. It really started for them up front, but largely inconsistent as well, very up and down. You know, they had started to – it looked like they maybe turning the corner a little bit, doing some good things a little more consistently before he got hurt. But, yeah, I see Auburn as they certainly have players on defense. And the one thing I think they have going for them this weekend is being at home in a desperate situation. You'd rather be at home in front of your bunch because that crowd can help you. And it seemed like they helped them a little bit the other night against Ole Miss.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Talking to Matt Wyatt right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. So how do you see this matchup between Auburn and Mississippi State, Matt?
Well, again, full disclosure, this time last week about State and Arkansas, I was saying things like, hey, for State to win it, they've been bad on defense. They're going to have to win it in a shootout. They're going to have to score 35, 40 points to win it. That's what I was saying last week. So my ability to see these things, I've taken a blow in the confidence department after watching that one this past Saturday. I just I did not expect. If you looked at State's games prior to Arkansas and watched their defense, nothing about the games or the film would have led you to believe State was going to hold anybody to a field goal. It's just, let alone on the road in the SEC. So I was wrong about that one. But all that said, this one, it just looks like one of those deals where somebody's defense is going to have to win it. I wouldn't dare predict another 7-3, but, Auburn relies on their defense. State's, really relied on theirs this past week. If Will Rogers isn't running out there at 100% healthy, State's offense is kind of one-dimensional too, right? And so it could be an ugly game. As soon as I say look for defenses to kind of rule the day, it'll be 41-40, so who knows. But I just expect it to be, kind of a struggle for both offenses, really.
Well, the last game, I think I saw this tweeted out, so it must be true, that was less scoring was 3-2 when Auburn beat Mississippi State. So you've got that Rembrandt to put up on the wall as well, Matt.
that Rembrandt. I tell you what, I couldn't help it this week. I had to do it. This was Monday, and we're looking at this 7-3 game, State and Arkansas. It was ugly. Neither team threw for 100 yards in that game on Saturday. Neither team had 100 yards passing, okay? So I couldn't help it. I'm like, everybody brings up this 3-2 game, so I went and looked it up. And the 2008 Auburn State 3-2 game, the box score, that game had more first downs, had more combined passing yards, and that Mississippi State team ran more offensive plays than this past Saturday. State only ran 48 offensive plays against Arkansas on Saturday in a win. Yeah, it's crazy to kind of to think about that, but that's what we saw, right? So, again, this is football. As soon as we say, it'll be a low-scoring game, State and Auburn, watch out, 35-30 coming your way,
Yeah, so what is the over-under on passing yards, though, for this case?
You want to set that number for us,
Yes,
Matt?
what is that number, Matt?
I do not want to set that number. No. I'll leave that to all you other degenerates out there. And I'll sit up there in the broadcast booth, eat free, snacks and drinks during the ball game. That's all I'm good for. Passing. But again, it's like, here's an unknown. We don't know for sure who's playing quarterback for State. And that makes a big difference in that deal. Auburn as well. You don't – if they go out there and are able to run the ball successfully, they'll get a few play actions, and that can extend your pass yards. I just don't know that anybody knows what we're going to get. And that's what it's like following inconsistent football teams.
Yeah. Well, on the subject of inconsistent, the last time we talked to you was right before the Alabama game there at Mississippi State, and thought your breakdown of Jalen Milroe was spot on. And so that game in particular, not to say that you've seen every Bama game since Mississippi State, but what did you see out of Jalen Milroe specifically in that game in Starkville?
Yeah, well, I saw him complete 83% of his throws. I know that much. And you know, that's what people were doing to State's defense back then. You know, not to take your question and run it off here and chase something else, but see, that was a stretch where State's defense gave up 88% completions to Jaden Daniels of LSU, followed by the next week 90% completions from Spencer Rattler in the game.
That's right.
The next week, Jalen Milroe went and completed 83%, and the week after that, no joke, the third-string quarterback for Western Michigan completed 77% of his throws and looked like Tom Brady. So it was a stretch of, like, State's defense was not just struggling. They were struggling just to force incompletion, let alone turnovers and stopping people from scoring and stuff. And it did kind of look like, because of that experience of just throwing and catching in that game against State, Milroe began to get a little confidence and kind of settle down, you know, which is kind of what we talked about on your show, is if you let him develop it, just kind of work through it, because of his athletic ability and everything, you may have something that other people don't have. And you're starting to see a little bit more of it. He's still got a ways to go, I think. But the good news for him and for their offense is I think he's starting to be a little more decisive and quicker in deciding, I'm going to tuck this ball and I'm going. And when I'm on a run, I'm going to run, and decide that quicker in the progression of a play, and it's helping their offense at times.
So, Matt, going back to tough places to play, what was the toughest place you played when you were playing, that, in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. You know, and back then we weren't playing Texas A&M or anybody like that. So we were old school SEC, 11 games a year and that sort of deal. I always felt like, you know, Baton Rouge was a tough place to play, especially when we went down there at night. And you hear that from everybody.
Right.
And they had good teams. Bryant-Denny Stadium was much different back then. In fact, I know, like, I think in 97 when we went in there, it was a day game, and they were in the middle of a lot of construction on the upper decks of that place. It was to let you know how different it was back then. But it never was the toughest place to go play. It just wasn't. But LSU was tough. And I tell you, just in my personal experience, the first game that I ever started in college, I was a freshman in 96, and I started a game against South Carolina in Columbia. And that place is underrated loud and underrated atmosphere, and always has been. We were up 14-10, late fourth quarter, had the ball backed up on our own goal line, and that place got really loud. And that was one of the loudest stadium experiences I ever had to play in my 4 years in school. So I would say LSU for sure. And I think South Carolina's place, it's always full. It's a great atmosphere. It's very underrated for those who haven't been there.
Yeah, I've been there, and you're right.
Yeah.
It's a fun place to go watch a game, too.
Yeah, the crowd in particular ramps it up, especially when 2001 starts to get cranked up. But from a recruiting perspective, how's it looking for Coach Arnett for this December signing period coming up?
Yeah, I think it's kind of on par, you know, which when you're having a year like you're having now, your hope is that you'd go out there and shoot a bunch of birdies and get below par, right? But
that's right.
I think that they're on par. They have set their sights locally, even though we're in this NIL era where people can throw money around in recruiting. People don't like you talking about it, but that's the reality. The reality for State is they put together the coaching staff. He specifically said, I'm putting together a coaching staff with guys who have Mississippi ties, and he's done that. Brought in an offensive line coach from Philadelphia, Mississippi, you know, brought in a receiver coach from Utah that went to Tupelo High School right here where I live. And so they focus locally, and they have done a good job locally, especially with skill people. And what I wonder, which I don't know, is for like a first-year coaching staff, when this year is over, what's the transfer portal situation going to look like, right? Because I think there are going to be more programs, not like wholesale, but I think there are going to be just more programs who are willing to make major changes in the portal. big numbers in the portal and turning your roster over in some spots, just because we're all getting used to that. And so you could see that at State for all we know.
Matt, really appreciate the insight as always, sir. Safe travels to the Plains, and appreciate you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
That is Matt Wyatt. You can check him out on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it this week, at Radio Wyatt. We'll shift our attention to Jacksonville, Florida. Coming up on the other side of this SportsCenter timeout, Ryan Leaf going to join us from Westwood One Sports, as he'll be on the call for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's hunting and tailgate season and time to get serious about an F-150. We've got nearly 140 to choose from, and without a doubt, one of the best F-150 values on the road today is our STX package. You get 290 hard-working horses mated to a 10-speed transmission that'll take you everywhere, from that tree stand to downtown Tuscaloosa. Body-colored bumpers, halogen headlamps, 20-inch machined aluminum wheels, and lots of tech, like a rear-view camera with dynamic hitch assist, which you boaters and RVers will love. A 2023 Woody Anderson Ford F-150 STX packs a punch, but it doesn't cost you a bunch. You can drive one for $474 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $51.66 due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. Offer ends October 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. Come test drive an F-150 STX today. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. 12 more season openers tonight in the NBA. That includes an ESPN doubleheader now underway. The Knicks and Celtics will tip off shortly in New York. That game to be followed by the Spurs hosting the Mavericks in Victor Wembanyama's NBA debut for San Antonio. The 76ers play their opener tomorrow night against the Bucks. James Harden came back to the Sixers today after being away for what the team called a personal matter. Basketball Hall of Famer Charles Barkley.
This dude is a baby. This is his third year in a row he's trying to force his way out of a situation. He's making $36 million, and he thinks they're going to give him like a long-term extension. That's not going to happen.
Harden asked to be traded months ago. That was Charles Barkley on Freddie and Harry. Astros manager Dusty Baker tells USA Today he's retiring after 26 years as a manager for 5 different teams. He is 7th on the all-time wins list. Baker is 74 years old and says he'd like to stay in the game, perhaps as an advisor. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is in the concussion protocol. He started feeling symptoms while traveling back from Monday night's loss against the Vikings. Head coach Kyle Shanahan says there's still time for Purdy to be cleared and play Sunday against the Bengals. Buccaneers offensive lineman Matt Filer is out for tomorrow night's game against the Bills with a knee injury. Defensive lineman Vita Vea will probably be a game-time decision. Buffalo tight end Dawson Knox out for that game with a wrist injury.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Thursday, the World Series is all set. I'll go around the bases and tell you what you need to watch for. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Coming up tomorrow night, we've got high school football action for you. I'll be on the call for James Clements taking on Grissom. And then Friday is the last Friday of region play. I'll also be on the call for Madison Academy at Susan Moore. Over the airwaves, you'll hear Buckhorn taking on Decatur, and that is a non-region matchup there. Sparkman playing for their playoff lives. They'll be at Florence. And then on Saturday, as I mentioned in the first hour, Army and UMass, and that'll walk you up to the world's largest cocktail party between Florida and Georgia. And on the call there is Ryan Leaf from Westwood One Sports, who's kind enough to join us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, fellas. Good to speak with you guys. How you been?
It's been a minute. Well, we're good. It's always good to talk some ball with you. And there's plenty of places to start, but let's start with the Georgia quarterback. What do you see out of Carson Beck, sir?
I see a guy that was highly recruited, has, for whatever reason, the quarterback position at Georgia seemingly hasn't been one since I've been Aaron Burry, where statistics, the hype and excitement around a player. It's really the epitome of what college athletics at the football level should be. And he kind of fits that role. I mean, he's 73% completion percentage. He's over 2,000 yards already passing. Only 12 touchdowns, but only 4 interceptions. So you're talking, a 3-to-1, ratio, and that's significant for this football team. They run the ball well. For a team that recruits the 5-star type of skill position players, they don't have necessarily a guy out on the perimeter, maybe outside of Dominic Lovett, that seems like he is a guy that can be explosive. He only has 1 touchdown so far this year. So, he doesn't have the same type of players. The tight end position has been the position that everybody's looked at. Brock Bowers, who's not going to be able to play. He was their big target. 41 receptions this year, 4 touchdowns, and that will not be part of the conversation. Oscar Delp will probably be the guy that everybody looks to step up there. But run the football, play great defense, get turnovers, and they're seemingly just more talented than most teams they step on the field with.
So something you tweeted yesterday really kind of perked up my eyes and wanted to take a little closer look into it, and that was your tweet about Todd Monken and what he has done with the Ravens. And there's no doubt that it looks like Lamar Jackson is benefiting off of Todd Monken. But for us here in the Deep South, at least me in particular, it just makes me long a little bit more for Todd Monken.
Yeah, he really kind of found himself in that role there for Kirby Smart. Sometimes it wasn't pretty, but he knew that with Stetson Bennett as the quarterback and the decision to go with him, at times there wasn't going to be. You're going to have to get back to what you did really well, and that's run the football, establish a physical nature. And when we're talking about a Baltimore Ravens team that was physical to begin with because of what, Greg Roman did as an offensive coordinator, you allow that with the passing ability when you have wide receivers, tight ends like that. I mean, as soon as the hire was made, I felt like it was a win. It just depended on whether or not Lamar Jackson would be on the roster, would be a Raven. Because if you remember correctly, when he was hired, Baltimore was going through that really dysfunctional time period where Lamar had said, I want to trade, hadn't signed a long-term deal, all the things like that. And Monken took the job. He had to have taken the job knowing that they were going to get to a place at some point where he would have Lamar Jackson as his quarterback because, I don't know if you take that job if you don't know that going into it. And it's really worked out well. What we saw last week against Detroit, and I think, maybe their biggest game of the year so far, they dominated. Run game, pass game, everything they did. And Lamar was able to do it mostly from the pocket, which has got to give Todd Monken a lot of excitement moving forward in the AFC now.
No doubt about that. Talking to Ryan Leaf right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and saw a little bit of the offense starting to click against the Titans in London, but boy, did they ever hum against the Lions in a big, big way. But let's shift over to Florida, the Gators in particular, with a new DC. And Austin Armstrong, it felt like he literally had a cup of coffee in Tuscaloosa before he got snatched away and gone to Gainesville. What do you see out of the Gators defensively, Ryan?
I mean, you look at their loss to Kentucky, which looks really bad right now. Having seen Missouri go into Kentucky, into Lexington, and put the beat down on them, that loss looks bad right now for this team. A 2-point win over South Carolina. In South Carolina means something. It was on the road. But, I haven't seen much. The Tennessee win looks good. It's just really a matter of if they can keep this thing close. I'll put this out there, too. The last time Georgia lost a regular season football game, it was in this game 3 years ago.
That's right.
It's a rivalry game. So much has shifted and so much has changed with Florida. You're talking about Dan Mullen was there, Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts. It was a much different football team. Kadarius Toney, all of those things, no longer exist. Graham Mertz is the guy, and if I told you Graham Mertz would have less passing yards than Beck, would you believe me in that aspect of things? It's true. It's 1,800 yards passing for Mertz. He's completing almost 80% of the clip. 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he's got better statistics in terms of what Beck's done and things. The defense has got to be better. The defense is allowed, like I said, 33 and 39. To South Carolina and Kentucky on the road. This one being a neutral site, maybe could bring something. They just got to be better on defense, and get stops. If they can get into a kind of a bit of a brawl like Georgia did earlier in the year in games against like South Carolina, the Auburn matchup, if we get into those types of things to keep it close late, that's going to put doubt in Georgia and give a ton of confidence to the Florida team. This could be one of those wins, right? One of those signature wins for Billy Napier to kind of cement that they made the right choice when they went and got him from Louisiana just over a year ago.
So when you watch Georgia play, do they look like the number one team in the nation, in your opinion?
I would say Michigan looks like the number one team in the country to me right now. Just flat out physical, dominating the teams they're supposed to dominate, and flat out beating their opponent. Now, I haven't played really anybody, but either is Georgia. I mean, Georgia doesn't have, I don't know, much of a quality win on their resume. At the time, Kentucky seemed like it, but that was a thorough domination too. They get Florida, they have Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee over the next 4 weeks, which should tell us a lot more. I wouldn't put them as the number one team in the country right now. I'd put probably Michigan, if not Florida State, in those spots right now, and Georgia just has an opportunity. And Georgia may not be ultimately the number one seed on the college football playoff when it comes up. I think they'll allow that to play out. I think there's a real chance still for, depending on what the committee looks at Georgia like and what they do over the next few weeks. If Alabama and Georgia play for the SEC championship, and when it's all said and done, Alabama's got a loss, and so does Georgia, it wouldn't surprise me if both those teams got into the playoff once again.
So when you look at this is a little bit off topic. I just watched a tape of the Ohio State-Michigan game last year where they were watching the signals and then making calls to the defense after they saw the signals. I'm kind of shocked that Michigan would go through so much trouble to steal signals.
You probably shouldn't be shocked. I mean, it happens everywhere. I mean, people are doing this all over the country. It's just that, they have a target squarely on their back. I don't pay too much stock into this deal, really at all. I mean, what it tells me is that Jim Harbaugh is just a better coach than everybody else. He's willing to self-scout, opponent scout, future opponent scout to try to gain a competitive advantage. And unfortunately, there's nowhere that says you can't do this. It's scouting. And where I always kind of judge and on what the importance of what's going on is I look to and listen to former players and coaches, and we really haven't heard anybody talk about it because they know what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to gain that competitive advantage however they can. You're going to hear soon enough here that Ryan Day and Ohio State probably have had somebody doing something similar. If you go around and look deep enough, it happens everywhere. The NCAA firmly just has a bullseye on Michigan right now. And, good thing for Michigan is that the NCAA has zero teeth. If they come to them and say anything, if I'm Jim Harbaugh and that crew, I'd look at the NCAA and tell them to go pound sand because, the only thing I think or see them doing anymore is planning a party every March. That's the only thing that they do. You could call them the most elaborate party planning company in the world, I guess, is what they are and about what they amount to. So, yeah, I wouldn't put too much stock in this. It's been a big story for a few days, but what Jim's doing and his staff's doing is just better than everybody else, and it's paid off in terms of wins. And I think this year it may have paid off so much that they have a real chance at a national championship for the first time, I think, in some time.
Talking to Ryan Leaf right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Wes, I don't know if you remember this. The last time we talked to Ryan Leaf, the Pac-12 had 12 teams in it. It's been quite the offseason for your conference there, Ryan. Help us make sense of it, sir.
It is absolutely the most dumbfounding thing to me. It's probably arguably the best conference in all of America.
How can a conference that has the best competitive football games and teams fail to exist a year from now? This is a top-down absolute failure by the president, by the commissioner. Everybody involved has let these kids down, in particular my alma mater in Oregon State, completely. I was just talking to somebody today about the December 4th deadline, right, of course, for the transfer portal, and what that may look like for Oregon State and Washington State if the unknown is still there come that day. You could see a mass exodus. And I would completely understand it. When you don't know what your future holds because of you would be in no conference a year from now. If nothing has been finalized or figured out by then, you could easily see a mass exodus for where both teams, who are both, bowl bound, wouldn't have enough players on the roster to field the team to play in a bowl game. That's where this is going. And so, it's absolutely horrible what ESPN has done to manipulate and get what they wanted to out of this process. All you have to go to is look at how they treated Washington State and Oregon State just a few weeks ago in terms of making fun of them rather than celebrating the two teams that were playing so well going through all the adversity. I mean, it's just I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what Pat McAfee and Kirk Herbstreit did and how they doubled down and it's putrid for me. I love college football. Love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. And I feel like ESPN and the networks and the people involved at the top have really, really diminished that and not allowed for anybody to celebrate college football this year in the Pac-12.
Yeah, I hate it because this is a heck of a swan song. Seriously, you mentioned it on the high level of football. Oregon, Washington, that was electric, although sidebar to that of giving Dan Lanning maybe a proper guide on when to go for it and not. But nonetheless, that was fun to watch.
It is. Those are two of the best football teams in America, flat out. Dan Lanning, he's got his brand at Oregon. This is who he is, and they're okay with it, and he's okay with it. They're going to get another look at him. They get Utah this week in Salt Lake City, which is going to be a tough row. Utah and the USC game may have been one of the best games in all of football last weekend, too. To do that with essentially a third-string quarterback, to win that game with a safety playing running back. And, I mean, what Kyle Whittingham has been able to do with that makeshift roster with all the injuries and everything like that is unbelievable. He is going to run roughshod over the Big 12 for the next decade. Be careful what you wish for there in the Big 12 with Utah coming to town. That's a huge game this week. You're going to have Michael Penix Jr. and Washington going to USC November 11th. That ultimately could be if Penix is able to go in there and beat the defending Heisman Trophy winner. That could set up a situation for Michael Penix Jr. to be the Heisman Trophy winner. And Bo Nix is going to have a say too. Bo Nix is going to have an opportunity to knock off and redeem himself in maybe a Pac-12 championship game. And it's just a great. And Oregon State for me, no one's talking about Oregon State. They may be the best team, complete team in all of the Pac-12 or Pac-10 or whatever the heck you want to call it this year. They are probably the most complete team in all of the Pac-12, and they got some really good games down the stretch. That's going to put them in an opportunity to battle for the championship as well. I think that would be the greatest thing in the world if Oregon State won the Pac-12 found a way into the college football playoff and didn't have a conference. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you think that that ends up? Where does Oregon State and Washington State end up on? Because, like you said,
this is going to have to resolve itself sooner rather than later.
These are two great programs.
Yeah.
Well, the lawsuit is going to be a huge precursor because all of that
TV money and George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12, pretty much put himself behind the eight ball with how he reacted to USC and UCLA when he kicked them off the board and didn't allow them voting rights. He said, if you were leaving this conference, you don't have a voting stock in it. Well, guess what? Those other teams now, the 10 other ones or the 8 other ones, they want voting stock in it. But Washington State and Oregon State, what they're doing is filing a lawsuit, said they have no voting rights. Therefore, if they don't have any voting rights, all the assets of the Pac-12 conference belong in the hands of Oregon State and Washington State. If that's the case, they're going to be able to split hundreds of millions of dollars between them over the next 2 years, which will keep both these programs afloat, even if they have to sit as independent. They could go out, reach out to Apple, get a really great streaming product, because now clearly Apple can see that Washington State and Oregon State will sell subscriptions. They'll sell them. It's not going to be a problem. And they'll have all that TV money over the next 2 years to allow them to weather the storm, because I do think 2 years from now, we're going to see another big shift in what the collegiate model looks like. And I expect it gets more and more looking like the NFL model with 2 huge conferences called, in the National Collegiate Football League. So that's the first domino that's going to have to fall. The lawsuit, I don't know how long the continuances will take, but I know Washington State and their counselor are putting things together quickly with Oregon State, trying to get this thing resolved so they can put that money in their coffers, because it would take both of those athletic departments from the red into the black immediately for operating budgets, not having to cut other programs, not having to cut other things, be able to operate, really operate at the level of the likes of like Alabama and Georgia in a 2-team independent league for a couple of years, which would be huge, and a huge mistake and a ton of egg on the face of all those 10 other Pac-12 schools that went off to other conferences without that money. That's a big deal and a big win for Washington State and Oregon State if they can get that done.
Boy, that makes a lot of sense if that lines up, but I know lawyers are going to get involved as well.
They cost money.
Yeah. And that does kind of line up as well with the new college football playoff television contract, which I know is under negotiation right now from the last conversation we had with Bill Hancock. So there is a lot of moving parts to this college football game. Have you had a chance to see Alabama at all this fall? I feel obligated to say so here in the state.
They've been an incredible second half team. And that leads me to believe, and as I always do, is which coaching staffs, have the most instinct and their ability to scheme things up with halftime adjustments. That's where you see a difference. When you look at the NFL level, same thing. When you watch teams maybe come out the gate slow, struggle a little bit, but take what they've seen in the first half with what teams are doing, effectively change and put a stop to that. I mean, what we saw from Alabama down 17 in the second half against Tennessee, who was running all over them with Moulton in the first half, I think is a huge example of that. They've done that a few times in Texas A&M game. So for me, I think this may be one of the best coaching jobs and staffs he's put together in Tuscaloosa. And like I said earlier, it wouldn't surprise me if they get to the SEC championship, knock off the Georgia team, and get back into the college football playoff. And you look back at their schedule and see wins of, great wins, but by not the margins that you're used to seeing from a great Alabama team. That's very, very possible for this team. It's been exciting to watch. The quarterback play hasn't been great. Defense has been kind of up and down, but got really good and stiffened up with scheme in second halves of ball games. So, the LSU matchup I think is going to be, stopping Jaden Daniels is just, it's going to be otherworldly. The fact that Missouri somehow let them escape with a win when they had that done, Missouri could have been in the conversation in the SEC too. So it's been fun. I like when the SEC is more, closely conjoined and competitive than Georgia just being outright beating by teams by 4 touchdowns every week. I do like it better that way. So
the Alabama fans kind of miss joyless murder brawl though. But you got to be
do sometimes. Yeah, they don't know what to do sometimes in those stands, like sitting on their hands, going, "What do we do in these scenarios? I mean, how do we react to this?"
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you something. I wasn't at the game, but what I understand, it was the loudest crowd they've ever had in Tuscaloosa was Saturday. It was deafening. We've heard that from several people that weren't Alabama fans that were there, and everybody's excited about this team because after the third game, not many people thought we'd be sitting right here.
That's one way for the students to stick around and watch the whole game, right?
Right, yeah. That's so true.
I think that, would have liked to have seen Texas get the win against Oklahoma if I was Alabama fan.
Oh yeah,
because sure. That would bolster their, that loss to Texas, and instead they, Oklahoma gets the win.
Right.
It is what it is.
Texas is going to lose another one too. I don't think Texas is a good football team. They're not just a great football team though. I don't think. I think that they. And losing their quarterback this past week is going to be it makes them very vulnerable, if you ask me.
It makes them really vulnerable. I just don't know if there is a game along the way. I don't know if they get Kansas State this year. I haven't looked at their schedule. Kansas State's the team that for me is coming to their own over the last few weeks and are a very scary team. If they can get to the Big 12 championship, they may get a rematch against Oklahoma. It just depends if they can weather the storm of being without Quinn Ewers now for as long as he's going to be out and see where they go. I know Sark has the talent. He's got the horses. He's got the guys that can show up in the SEC in terms of size and quickness and speed and things like that next year. It's just, a matter of whether or not they play down to their talent or play down to their competition, which has always been a problem for Texas teams and Sark in particular.
The rest of the schedule, just to let you know, they have BYU at home this weekend, then Kansas State at home on November 4th, at TCU, at Iowa State, before closing out with Texas Tech on November the 24th. Ryan, just wanted to...
The one I'd be worried about is the Kansas State one. The fact they get it at home, I think, is a big deal. If it was in Manhattan, I wouldn't have been surprised if the Wildcats were favored in that game. That's going to be a tough out for Kansas or for Texas in that one. So that's the one you should circle, everybody out there, for want to second off. I think the other games that we talked about, because of everything that's happened to those teams this year in terms of injuries and things like that, I don't suspect them giving them much, but I also didn't expect Houston to give them what they gave them this weekend. So we'll see.
Well, finally, Ryan, I wanted to go to Jalen because they just played, and Jalen it's amazing to see his progression from his time in Tuscaloosa to what he's doing in Philadelphia. But evaluate these two NFL quarterbacks for me, if you could, between Tua and Jalen right now.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The storyline, of course, behind that. I first got to Tuscaloosa to work with the team and with Coach Saban back after Jalen's freshman year. Tua had just come on the scene too, and so it's been fun to see their growth. And I can't tell you how important it was for Mike McDaniel to get that job, and in the confidence he's given back to Tua. It is fun to watch him play, just like it is Jalen Hurts. I can't get over Jalen too in terms of like how stoic he is, like at all times. Like he's just like a brick of ice. You can't chip him apart at all, no matter if he's hobbling around or they throw 3 touchdowns dude is just cold as ice, and just this team follows him, and that offensive line would do anything for Jalen Hurts. And so, what we saw the other night, that kind of matchup, that for me wouldn't surprise me if that's what we saw on Sunday Night Football is what the Super Bowl ends up being. I really don't. I think both of them are very capable of being in that position. Both teams are very capable. Clearly, Philly got better on the back end by adding Kevin Byard. I mean, I can't believe, the rich keep getting richer on that side of things, especially on that defensive side of things. But don't forget, the other night, people talk about, a 2-touchdown win in this game. Miami's driving. to tie this game up in the fourth quarter. And if not, I think there had to have been some miscommunication with Waddle on the route he ran, because there's no reason why Darius Slay should have even been anywhere near Mostert and the defender there. But he made a great play, got the pick, and then they did exactly what they are good at, and that's imposing their will, their physicality up front. Jalen Hurts asked to make a big play, hits A.J. Brown, gets him in that position. So, yeah, you could argue maybe two of the top 5 quarterbacks in all of football right now.
It's a big statement.
Crazy.
It really is. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. Have a great call. Safe travels to Jacksonville. Is this your first cocktail party that you're going to?
Well, you don't want to make that too loud to people, because they'll say, no, I'm sure Ryan had many cocktail parties. But
I'm not going there, Ryan. But
it's my first world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I love rivalry games, and I love going to places in calling games that I've never done before. That's been a lot of fun. That's been a lot of fun for me, and I've got to experience some of that stuff. I called the Clemson Duke one earlier this year, which was such a great atmosphere and a great night.
Wow.
Well, great call too, by the way.
Well, thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I hope Florida, Coach Napier, can keep this game nice and make it something that's a great watch.
Ryan, appreciate the time. Safe travels, sir.
Thanks, Ryan.
You bet. You guys have a great rest of the night. Thanks very much. Bye.
Yep. Last time he was on, he was here.
That's right.
In the studio. Yeah.
That's right. And the Pac-12 still had 12 teams.
That's right. Well, I mean, that's just sad. I agree with him. I'm upset about it too. And for them to be in a year like this, and you know what I was told though is the SEC teams will be making $80 million a year apiece for the new contract.
I thought it was going to be around $92 million.
Yeah, it's good. It's close to $100 million a year.
When Texas and Oklahoma come on into the pool,
which is and they're just talking about splitting. Getting $100 million apiece if everything good happens. I know. Their SEC is going to be making that a year, per team. That's just not crazy money.
Yes, it is.
But I disagree with them on one thing. I think the Michigan thing is a big deal. The fact that they were recording and you're not supposed to do this. That's totally against the rules. What they do about it though will be interesting. And if and that has given them a competitive advantage, a big competitive advantage that I don't think they'll have going forward, because teams aren't going to sit there and run the same signals. And to watch that tape, I just watched.
Yeah. Everybody on the sideline was doing a signal as if they were going to pass.
And the guy sitting there has a book out.
Yeah.
The guy that they've accused, and he's sitting next to the defensive coordinator. That's bad. That is just bad.
Have you seen the latest SEC short? I'll play it for you during the break, because it's more visual than it is audio. But it's
yeah, I've seen it. I think, but yeah,
on this
they captured the Alabama first half.
No. This is a new one about Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Stealing signs.
I have not seen that yet.
So feel free to Google that for yourself.
It's not just they stole signs. They arranged for this guy to go video the signs at the game, matched it to the tape, which is totally that's not legal.
So
anybody says that's legal is lying.
You know what? I'm going to do this because this is a Michigan administrator and then two Michigan helpers coming in. One is wearing a Penn State sweater. The other is wearing an Ohio State sweater.
Okay, Blake and Jenna, I believe you guys are assigned to the, Ohio State-Penn State game. So you'll sit up on opposite sides of the field, filming each team's sideline, stealing their signals from when Michigan plays them later in the year. You guys got your tickets?
Got my cash ready so that I can buy a ticket off a scalper outside the stadium so that it's an untraceable transaction.
Those tickets cost hundreds of dollars, and we need the Sky Miles. So go ahead and book it with this Michigan-branded Amex card with my legal birth name on it. Don't forget to go through the team's official ticketing website and make sure that receipt goes to Video Espionage Department at umich.edu, just in case we get on it.
And you still want those tickets to be in full view of the stadium surveillance cameras, right?
Of course. You guys get your cameras, right?
I thought we could try this. A 4K pinhole camera burrowed into the Ohio State logo on this hat.
I can already tell there's not a servo zoom lens on that thing, so let's just keep using the regular camera we always use. Let's not reinvent the wheel here, people. Oh, and what's with the clothes, guys?
We thought it would be better to wear the other team's colors so that we blend in with the people we're sitting with.
Why don't we leave the thinking to the man with football signal stealer listed on his public-facing LinkedIn page and keep wearing the official department t-shirts, okay? We've built a brand here, people, and I expect you to respect it.
How do we get reimbursed for the expenses of this trip?
Same way we always do. I'll send you a public Venmo transaction from my personal account to your personal account with the description reimbursement for trip to Still Signals followed by the football and little spy detective emoji.
So what game are you going to?
You both know I'm on the sideline for every Michigan game, standing next to the coordinator, depending on who has the ball, holding this giant laminated sheet featuring the stolen signals on it in full view of the national TV broadcast and sideline cameras.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Nope. Let's do this.
Okay, off you go.
That's the truth.
Got a question?
Yeah. What happens if we get busted by the NCAA?
Breaking news alert! The NCAA announces they are raiding the house of the team responsible.
So they go in and bust up Missouri's house.
We got him. I knew I'd see your slimy face again. Looks like the findings are in. Using electronic devices and third parties to record the opposing team's sidelines from the stands? You make me sick!
I suppose it would be impossible for you to understand that this involves an entirely different team from an entirely separate conference of which I have no affiliation.
Stop resisting!
That's the truth. I mean, listen to Ryan say that they're being picked on as a joke to me. I mean, this is a huge thing. And just to give you an idea, look at the big deal they made about a football being pumped up.
Oh yeah. That was 3 years of our show.
Think about what the big deal they made about them taping New England taping it.
Yeah.
They suspended they suspended those guys and fined the heck out of them. I think Michigan's about to be fined a huge amount of money, and I don't think this makes Harbaugh. Everybody knows this is illegal and it's unethical. It is totally unethical, and if you steal the signs during a game, that's fair play, because it's not against the rules. You go and do what they did. It's obviously why they have rules against this.
We do need to go ahead. We are way over for our first break. We'll take your phone calls on the other side. We're live here from Woody Anderson Ford. We'll be right back.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms of varicose veins include pain, swelling, aching, heaviness, and fatigue. Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville can diagnose and treat your varicose veins with the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Call 256-715-7151 to schedule your free screening. Go to bestveincarehuntsville.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
The End Zone Sports Bar has done it again. This time, they're bringing their jumbo wings, handcrafted burgers, Tex-Mex, and New York-style pizza to the Midtown District with their new location on McMurtry Drive Northwest opposite the Target Plaza. Tuesdays at the End Zone means half-price burgers, and Wednesday is $1 jumbo wings all day long. The End Zone also features Sunday ticket for all your NFL viewing. The newest End Zone Sports Bar in the Midtown District on McMurtry near the Target Plaza. Get in the End Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Each week, check out our latest zone deal online at 977ESPN.com.
I'm eating good food.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Back here with you, live from Woody Anderson Ford. We have been rather guest-heavy over the last 40 or so minutes. Chance to take your phone calls, 256-576-4977, 256-576-4977. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle or just need to schedule a service appointment, head over to WoodyAndersonFord.com. Jeff from the Borough. How are you, Jeff?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing real well.
First of all, the Michigan thing, if you're not going to penalize Tennessee, then don't penalize Michigan. It's ridiculous. They should have about 2, 3, 4 year bowl ban, all the stuff they done. I mean, Houston Astros, when they did all this sign stealing, they've been stealing signs forever. Okay, neighbors, let's get real. All right, it's not no penalty. But we don't need to. Maybe this is doing what we're doing fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay?
Well, I'll tell you what, though, Jeff, I don't worry about – I'm not making decisions based on what you think.
Well, I know you're not. That's what I think.
Thank God, right?
I don't care what you think either.
Well, that's why I thought you didn't have to call in if you didn't care what I thought.
Well, that's true, but – you know, I mean, hey, are you a Michigan fan now? Neighbors? You want to see?
Am I a Michigan fan? No, I think what they did was bad. Now, I think they ought to be fined. I don't think they ought to be penalized.
That's not going to do anything. Fine's not going to do anything at all. It's like
Tennessee. Well, I mean, if they have. Well, I'm not disagreeing with what you say about Tennessee, though. I agree with what you're saying. They should be penalized.
20-year bowl ban. I put 20-year bowl ban on them.
Well, I don't know about that. That's a 20 years. 20 years.
I do what I want to. I don't care. You don't
so should a Kentucky got a bowl ban, a 20-year bowl ban in basketball?
You don't pay kids medical bills, and you don't take kids out to restaurant on business and not pay the bill when you leave the restaurant. You don't do that stuff and do other stuff they done. Which very prudent them did. Okay.
What about thousands of dollars falling out of a FedEx thing?
Kentucky paid their penalties. We weren't on TV.
But it wasn't
20 years.
It wasn't a 20-year bowl ban.
We paid our penalty.
Well,
every time we got
but did you think Kentucky should have got a 20-year bowl ban?
Well, I don't care with 10 years, whatever. Do something. You got to hit them in the pocketbook where it hurts. You can't sign them 5 or
Well, see that, but see, the bowl ban hurts the whole conference. It hurts Kentucky.
I don't care. It's tough. Then don't cheat. Don't cheat. You don't have to worry about it, will you? Don't cheat.
Well, I agree with don't cheat. I mean, I'm not advocating cheating. In fact, that's kind of what I'm against, and that's why I'm against.
Rule number 1: do the
Michigan
right thing.
did. But I don't know exactly what the penalties should be. But I don't think a 20-year bowl ban for anybody does any good.
Enough on when they wouldn't do it again, but that way they won't.
But Jeff, we agree on something. There's definitely on
I
that.
don't know about that. Well, I agree. I mean, if I was Mark Emmett or whoever the head of I'm being AA. I don't need the board of directors. Forget them. I'll do what I want to. I'm the head of it. I do what I want to. Okay, and I'll put it on the school. Did SMU get death penalty? Neighbors, did they get it years ago? Remember that? They paid.
Did who did? Oh, SMU did. And that's why they never did it to anybody else. They never recovered.
That's why they call it death penalty university.
Yeah.
Death penalty.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen. So I was sitting next to a guy I played with in the Japan Bowl, and then we played the Senior Bowl together, and we became good friends. He was a great player. And I'll never forget, he was sitting next to me, and we're on a bus, and we've been sitting next to each other everywhere we went for 3 weeks, and we were almost at the end. He says, neighbors, I'm worried about next year. Heck, I don't think I'll make as much money as I did last year in the NFL. They were paying him $250,000 a year in 1982. The minimum NFL then was like $125. So he was going to make. He ended up making close to that, I think, because he was a great player. Played for 15 or 16 years in the NFL. So, but yeah, they were the money they were giving out then. That's why I think SMU, you'll see them if they get the right coach and the right system, they have the money to make a good team. They've already proven that once. So I think you'll see them do it again.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks for calling, Jeff.
Boy, if there's one guy I wish we could get on, and he passed away in 2017, Ron Meyer, the then coach of SMU, just for this whole world that is now college football compared to when he was at SMU from 76 to 81. Oh, boy. Let's go ahead and take our final timeout. Final call for phone calls as we're live here at Woody Anderson Ford. Had an opportunity to talk to Mark Stoops. Asked him about the Vols.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is driven by you, driven by those with grit, determination, and a goal to succeed. This is why we do what we do. The Huntsville Sports Commission promotes an enhanced quality of life in the Huntsville area through sports. We work hard to make sure those who come to Huntsville to compete have all they need to be the best they can be. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Cheeseburger Bobby's has a great new way to feed the family with two $30 family packs. The first is the Tenders Family Meal. 20 delicious chicken tenders, fries, and a gallon of tea. The second is 4 cheeseburgers, fries, and a gallon of tea. Your choice, just $30 each. These specials are good for carryout and online orders only. Log on to cheeseburgerbobbies.com to order. And don't forget frozen custard for dessert. Cheeseburger Bobbies, 2785 Carl T. Jones Drive, Huntsville, and at cheeseburgerbobbies.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Have a drink at the Open Bottle, a copious selection of wine, spirits, and craft beer from around the world. They've got a full bar, wine by the glass, craft cocktails, premium bourbon, 48 specialty beers on tap, and a smart staff with hustle. There's an expansive, comfortable patio with a brand new performance stage and live music every night from local artists like Lamont Landers, Rob Aldridge, and James Urban. There's space for your next celebration or corporate event. The Open Bottle on Highway 72 near Slaughter Road intersection in Madison.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 977 ESPN The Zone.
Closing time. Open
I missed.
and let you out into the world. Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl.
Oh, boy. Winding things down here at Woody Anderson Ford. Final call for phone calls, 256-576-4977 is the telephone number, 256-576-4977. Is this a big deal up in Ann Arbor? Yeah, because it's against the rules. Did Coach Harbaugh probably took off the wrong person during this whole cheeseburger thing? Yeah, probably. But if the bed is made properly, there's nothing to find under the bed, so don't cheat. So there's that as well. So it feels like,
man, this is just bad. It's bad for football.
It's not a smear campaign.
No,
if they weren't breaking the rules.
If it wasn't true, it would be a smear campaign. It is true. It's obvious when you watch the tape. It's as obvious as anything you've ever seen. And it's just like it was wrong when Houston did it. Yeah, they've been stealing signs forever. But certain rules you have to follow. You can steal a sign, but you're not supposed to be recording it. You're not supposed to be using technology to do it.
So overwhelming this morning. Mike Rodak and somebody else asked every single coach about putting a radio device in a quarterback or a linebacker, and Coach Freeze took it a step further. He would also be for teams that don't huddle, put it in the wide receiver's helmet as well so they all know. But it was overwhelming this morning from the SEC coaches wanting the technology so we can get rid of the signals. We'll be done with the signals. And I feel like that is going to happen sooner rather than later.
Probably will come. What's interesting, though, to me is and you never think about this, but I was right behind the sideline this past week in the Louisiana game. Receiver comes off, and he's arguing with the signal caller. I guess each wide receiver they're doing the routes. And before it was over, the signal caller is the one that messed up and gave the wrong signal to him. How much does that happen? And it was pointed out to me that these signal callers were just student assistants. So you're depending on a student assistant to make calls in a game.
That's scary.
That is scary.
Because that's people's jobs.
Yeah, everybody's jobs that you have. I mean, and you think about you lose a game by one play. Was that the play that could have, been the difference? And it was watching the whole thing was so interesting to me because I'd never thought about that.
Who you put in charge of certain.
So it was a student assistant.
But that's communication. That's vital.
Well, yeah. I mean, it can cost you a game. That's the kind of stuff. Big third down play, and they were getting on him on the way out, and he was saying, "You did this," and the guy started thinking, and they were talking, and he said, "Oh, my bad." And I'm thinking, why is there not a coach?
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to hear.
Yeah,
so I'm sure it's financial.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess
there has to be a better way. I mean, there just has to be. If you just got holding up cards or something, I don't know. So, yeah, I guess everybody has their own way and signals, but and you see these guys that hold up the black things when they're called the signals to keep people from seeing it from the stands, and they go through a lot of stuff tough to protect it, because if you know whether it's a pass or a run, it helps the defensive lineman greatly.
Yeah, because they don't have to guess.
Yeah, and they don't have
to react.
We would watch tape with probably the best guy to ever get this stuff, and in my opinion, the best I've ever seen on doing a lot of stuff was Coach Donahue. He was unbelievable. Ken Donahue was unbelievable at it. Finding tells on offensive linemen, what they would look for, or maybe the quarterback on a pass would do his feet different than he would on a run. And then people be looking for it. They'd have their tells, and on the sideline they'd be calling, if it was they call a squirrel, whatever, something on the ground, right? Rabbit was a run.
Yeah.
And they'd be calling bird or eagle or whatever, and it'd always be something different. If it's going to be a pass, and they would be looking at the different tails, and just for running pass, and it helps defensive linemen so much because they can let loose on the pass and not have to worry about the draw, this or that. And they would have people holler draw when the tail. I mean, it was amazing how many tails he could pick up, and they blocked so many punts because he knew how to line the guys up based on the snapper's tail or when he was going to snap the ball. Incredible. Those little things help Alabama win so many games.
Jacksonville State leads it at FIU. They're playing the Panthers. That game's going on right now, 21-0 for Rich Rod's squad down in Jacksonville. Actually, that game's down in Miami at FIU. The Panthers are 4-4. Jack State is 6-2, looking for another victory. So I don't know if you've seen this as well, but this is more radio friendly. But a new college grad, her name is Bree, who recently started a corporate job in the New York area. She posted on TikTok and got very upset. Why did she get upset? I don't know. I was entertained by it. She's a recent college graduate and started a 9-to-5 job.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, But this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me forever to get there. I don't have time to do anything. I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy.
She's been on the job 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the real world. Yeah, welcome to the real world. Wait till she gets her first paycheck. That's
what's
the best.
FICA?
Yeah,
what's
who's FICA? Who's that? What they don't realize is if you're the employer, you got to take that money and you got to match it. So that's matched by your employer, and it goes to the Social Security that you're not going to get. So by the time you graduate, so there you go.
I just
because
found
they're
that
all stealing the money up in Washington, D.C., so there you go.
I really hope you're wrong about one thing, and that is in 5 years we're not going to see a whole bunch of lawsuits from guys not paying taxes on NIL money.
No, you won't see lawsuits. The IRS will be after them, and they don't sue you.
Oh, they just collect.
They come after you. Yeah.
They just collect.
It's going to be bad. Yeah, it's going to be bad. But, not filing your taxes is a criminal offense. You not paying your taxes, they come after you, but you're not. But if you don't file your taxes, that's when they can put you in jail.
Hang in there, Bree. Hang in there, Bree. It's a 9-to-5 world. Unless you're here on the drive, we roll till 7. Unless you're Crawdad, and he's coming up next. He's working till 8 tonight.
Right.
Same can be said for Jackson, as the Love Child's also working till 8 tonight as well.
I'm going to miss the Love Child.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, he's leaving us next Friday.
Got a big promotion. Congratulations.
Well, yeah, congratulations,
yes.
Jackson.
We're happy for you.
War Eagle. How about that?
I'm not going that far.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. 12 more season openers tonight in the NBA. That includes an ESPN doubleheader now underway. The Knicks and Celtics will tip off shortly in New York. That game to be followed by the Spurs hosting the Mavericks in Victor Wembanyama's NBA debut for San Antonio. The 76ers play their opener tomorrow night against the Bucks. James Harden came back to the Sixers today after being away for what the team called a personal matter. Basketball Hall of Famer Charles Barkley.